Hey everyone, welcome to another top 10 list. This week's top 10 list I put together of my own opinion on my own graded notes. These are my top 10 favorite graded notes. I've got other notes that I like as well that aren't graded, but I have basically figured out that I currently have a lot of graded notes right now. So just going by graded notes, I wanted to see which ones were my favorite that I had graded, and that's also going to help me down the line figuring out what other notes I may need to get graded later on. Anyway, these are not my most expensive notes. These may not even be the most popular notes. Most of you probably won't even agree with my selections. But with all the notes that I have, what notes are my favorites? And well, I figured I'll do my top 10 list on that. All right. Number 10 for this week. I went with my graded solid star error. Of all the notes I have, how does this make my top 10 list? Let me tell you. First of all, what is this? It's a solid star error. It's graded, and if you look, the star is filled in. You can see it right there, compared to the star on this side that is not filled in. They're both in the screen right now. Filled versus not filled. This filled star, the reason why that this makes my top 10 list is because I found this in circulation. When you find something in circulation and you send it in for grading and it comes back with the actual error designation, I was on top of the world. I mean, there's all kinds of things that they could have said. Oh, no, it's not. It's just a regular, it's no big deal. No, it's a solid star error. And like I said, finding it in circulation, that to me is what makes this so important. That's why this is always going to be in my top 10, because I found it. I bought most of my other errors, but this one I found. So that's why that one is so important to me. Number 9. Number 9 on my list is my $18.99 $1 Black Eagle. My $1 Black Eagle, I got this for a steal. First of all, it's a beautiful note. I really appreciate this note, and I have seen so many of these that aren't this nice. And the thing is, this one's only graded a 30. I believe it was undergraded. It did get the EPQ, 30 EPQ. I believe this one was undergraded. It doesn't change the fact that this note I got for a steal, and I think it's beautiful. You have two presidents on there. You have Lincoln and Grant. You've got that Black Eagle there. Taking a look at the back, you can just see the condition of this particular one is just so nice, so much better than what they say it is. The EPQ on there. Now, these are easy to find, but they're tough to find in a good grade. And that's why I like this note so much, because of the specific grade, or at least the specific quality of this note. I hate the grade. I think it should have been a 40 or a 45. Yeah, finding a Black Eagle in really nice condition like this, that is why this one is where it is. When it's in this good a shape, that to me is what makes it collectible. Not if you have a 8 or a 15 or something like that. Yeah, it's a cool note, but you want to be able to see all the details on that. The white makes the Black Eagle pop. Yeah, I don't know what else I can say about that one. That's number 9 on my list. Number 8. I don't know why, but I always assumed I'd never get one of these. I don't know why that thought was in my head, but I always get excited when I look at this particular note. This is my 1869 $1 legal tender. This is a rainbow note. The rainbow series was 1869, and you'll notice that they start off with this blue color on the paper, and then it fades off to a green. You've got the red stamp, kind of the yellowing of the paper there, as well as the black ink, and then you've got the bright, well, I shouldn't say bright, but you have the dark green on the back there. You have a lot of different colors happening on this note. Very fascinating series, the Rainbow series. And for some reason, I just always assumed that I would never get one of these, because when you start talking about price and condition, I've said this many times when I talk about this particular note. If you can't see the rainbow, well, if it's a lesser graded note, you may not be able to see that rainbow pattern. And if you can't see the rainbow, why would you pay for the rainbow? Because this is, like I said, the 1869. I believe 1874 was the next series of this, and it looked the same, except there's no rainbow pattern. So if you're going to pay up to get a rainbow, if you can't see the rainbow, why are you paying for the rainbow? That's what I used to say all the time. And unfortunately, for a lot of the affordable notes, you can't make out the colors because it's just so worn. That's what makes them affordable. So I just always dismissed ever having an actual rainbow that you could see the rainbow on until I stumbled across this one. I got it for a great deal, and I had to get it. And for those of you who are noticing, yes, that is a star at the end. However, all of them had stars in the end. This is not a replacement note. So no, they will all have stars. If you get a rainbow, you too will have a star on it. That is number 8 on my list. Number 7, I talk about this note almost daily when I'm driving Uber and somebody asks, what I do aside from Uber. I tell them about this stuff. I tell them about collecting currency, and I mention that I have this note. What is this? This is a Delaware Colonial note dated 1759. Just let that sink in. This piece of paper is from 1759. That's, what is that, 1819, 2000? That's 270 years old, almost 280 years old, something like that. Ridiculously old piece of paper here. Dated June 1st, 1759. It's 20 shillings, written in Old English, graded so I know it's real, in the 32nd year of a sovereign of our Lord, 32nd year of something, or our sovereign Lord King George, dated the first day of 1759. Yeah, I can read really well. Anyway, why is this note special? Is it special because it's that old? Well, kind of. Is it special because of what's on the back? Yeah, kind of. It says to counterfeit is death, or at least that's what it said there. It does have the impression of a leaf on the back, and I know the condition of this is hideous. They still gave it an 8, which I find amazing. But the most impressive part is right here. You can see PR. This is printed by, and then it says ANKLI. This note was printed by Benjamin Franklin. It doesn't say that anywhere in here. You have to know that in order to get this note. I don't know if the seller just was not aware of that, because when I got this note, it wasn't advertised that way. I knew what I was looking for when I found this note. Yes, repaired and reattached, pieces added. Don't care. This was printed by Benjamin Franklin. I don't know how much cooler it gets. So yeah, this is definitely in my top 10 favorite notes. That is number 7. Number 6 on the list. Number 6, it is very rare for me to hear about a note for the first time and run out and buy one. Yet that's exactly what I did with this. Within 48 hours of me discovering that this note exists, I went out and bought it. $10 1880 legal tender. What is this note? This is the Jackass note. I heard it called the Jackass note, and I didn't know the story behind it, and then I finally saw something that explained the story. There is an eagle on the bottom of this note, right there. Everybody can see that eagle. He's perched, his wings are spread, he's about to take off. If you rotate that 180 degrees, now you have a donkey. You can see its eye. You can see a white muzzle, a white snout. You can see its neck. You can see its ear. You can see its mane. It's a donkey. No doubt about it. That's a donkey. And then if you turn it back, it becomes the eagle again. So yeah, that's why it's called the Jackass note. I was blown away by that, and I was so blown away, I literally bought this note within 48 hours of figuring out about that particular design. I was impressed that I was able to find it. It's not a cheap note, not a cheap note at all, but I had the cash, so I went and I bought it because I was blown away, and I wanted to get it before I made a big deal about it and had everybody else buy them all up on me. So yeah, that is my 1880 $10 legal tender, the Jackass note. Number 5 on my list. Number 5, I was I'm always impressed by this note featuring Lewis and Clark. It is the 1901 $10 legal tender, also featuring a bison. It's not a buffalo, it's a bison. Buffaloes are on coins, and in Africa, bison, North American bison, that's what we have here. Anyway, that's just one of many reasons why I like this note. Everybody would, it's the defining moment between currency and coins because this note is called the bison, not a buffalo. I'm just amazed, especially because it looks, people debate whether or not this is actually the same bison / buffalo that's on a buffalo nickel, but nobody will call it a bison nickel. Somebody will call it an Indian head nickel. But anyway, the bison note, $10 bison, very, very, very cool note. This doesn't even look, well, this looks like it came from the 1850s. That's there's no other way to describe it. Checking out the back of this one, they're pretty impressive as well. But the front, having that big old bison, the red makes everything stand out. You have Lewis and Clark on there. If you don't know who Lewis and Clark are, I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, bison is definitely on my list. That is number 5. Number 4 on my list, I did still put the $5 educational note. $5 educational note from 1896 is the Troublemaker note. It is the note that got all of the series pulled. And I am still impressed by this note because the artwork on here looks nothing like anything you'd find on currency. Normally, you're used to seeing, all of this just in a little small vignette over on the side. But no, this entire note is full of detail from left to right, top to bottom. Such an impressive note. Checking out the back, you got the Raiders of the Lost Archangel there. That's Grant and Sherman. Very, very, very cool note. It is too bad that people decided that they know better for us. I hate it when people try to tell you what you can and can't do, regardless of what, they force you to do what they want you to do. That's bad. Everybody should be living their own life. If you have to tell somebody, you can't have this, you can't do that, and it has no effect on your life, then I don't understand your point of view. Anyway, that's why this note was pulled. A bunch of people said, that's pornography. We can't have pornography in our pockets. Whatever. Grow up. If you have children, you've seen a naked person. And if you are a child, 2 naked people came together to see you. It's okay. I don't know why everybody freaks out about nudity. Anyway, that's number 3 on my list. Number 4 on my list. Number 3 on my list. This was the replacement for that note. This is my chief note. 1899 chief note. Just ridiculous detail on the chief right there. Such a cool note. Also, like the bison, just screams Americana, even though it's a different series. The bison was a legal tender. This is a silver certificate from 1899. And considering they had to almost come up with this on the fly to replace the educational series, aside from the educational series, this is one of the most impressive notes you're ever going to see. High demand note on this. High demand on this particular note. Everybody wants to have a chief in their collection. Getting very hard to find. Getting very expensive. I'm always impressed every time I see this note, especially the condition. You can find a lot of these in poor condition. And for me to have this one in the shape that I've got it, I am very proud of that one. So that is number 3. Number 2. Number 2 is my 1862 $1 legal tender. Now, you guys see me every week go through 1,000 singles. And so I tend to look at a lot of singles throughout the course of my collecting. And this is the very first $1 bill our country made. So if I have that much of a love for the single, well, how do you not love the very first one? Salmon P. Chase is the person pictured on there. You've got this neat little thing here where the 1 is highlighted. On the $2 bill, the 2 is highlighted. And it's interesting because there is a 3, yet we never got around to making a $3 bill. The 1862 $1 legal tender, just so intricate on the designs on the back. They did that to make it hard to counterfeit, but oddly enough, because the design is so intricate, if you hold it like this, it just looks all blurred together. So it was actually easier to counterfeit because nobody bothered to look that close to every single note. So if you did have a blurred version, they wouldn't notice. 1862, Salmon P. Chase on there, the very first legal tender. $1 bill. This is where it all starts if you collect $1 bills. And finally, number one on my list, you guys know the favorite note that I have. This is the note that got me started in collecting. This is my 1922 $20 gold certificate. I finally sent it in to get graded, and the first time I ever saw this note, this is what got me into collecting. I was trying to buy 1 ounce of gold, and they had this right there. And this is a $20 gold certificate from 1922. This is worth, or at least at the time, was worth 1 ounce of gold. We had $20 gold coins that were 1 ounce of gold in 1922, and you could exchange this certificate for one of those. Now, I was blown away because I didn't know that notes were this big prior to 1928. I didn't know that there were gold certificates because I was familiar with silver certificates, but I didn't know about gold certificates. I had never seen George Washington on a note other than the $1 bill. So to see all of that, then I took the note and flipped it over, and it's like, whoa, bright orange on the back. Yeah, I was completely blown away, completely infatuated by this, and it's because of this note that I started collecting currency. So how can I call any other note other than this one my absolute favorite in my collection? Anyway, that's what I've got for you guys this week, my top 10 favorite notes that I have. If you learned anything new this week, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please subscribe. I love reading all your comments. Guys, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next week.